Welcome to this episode of Locked In. In this episode, I'm reviewing the Tranzx Kitsuma 90mm dropper. If you're looking for a short travel dropper for your gravel bike, mountain bike, or even commuter bike, please stay tuned. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the specs and features of this, installation, price, and my final thoughts. So let's get into the specs and features of the Tranzx Kitsuma dropper seat post. So in this review, I use the 90mm travel 27.2 version of this seat post. In the 27.2 seat post size, they offer a 90mm and 110mm dropper. In the 30.9 seat post diameter, they offer a 125, 150, and 170mm length dropper. And in the 31.6, they offer 125, 150, and 170mm as well. They offer this in both internal and external routing, as well as they do have two lever options, the standard drop bar lever and their hot lap lever, which I didn't physically install on the bike I use, but essentially is a drop bar style lever that I'll show you here in pictures. That is a great way to actuate this in and out of the drops. This is a sealed cartridge hydraulic dropper that uses a coil spring and is made out of aluminum. And now let's get on to installation. Now, depending on your frame design, obviously some are easier to route than others. In my personal case, I use the 90mm 27.2 externally routed dropper that I installed in my Pateron Redwood. Installing this was the same as most other droppers. Basically, you're going to install the seat post at roughly the desired height. You're going to then install the housing. I like to do that first to get a rough estimate of how long you're going to need. Then installing your lever on your handlebar to cut down the housing, then installing the shift cable that is provided in the kit, hooking that onto the actuator on the dropper itself, routing that through, then putting it through the lever, then using the included tension adjustment to basically tension the system so when you actuate the lever, it drops accordingly and doesn't have any sag or bounce when putting your body weight on there, and it fully actuates all the way up. And the installation was pretty straightforward. I didn't have any issues. So if you're not comfortable installing a dropper yourself, take it to your local shop. This is going to install it just like any other dropper. Now let's get on to price. This kit with the standard lever, not the hot lap lever because that is an upgrade, is going to run you about 135 bucks. I will be providing an Amazon link in the description below if you want to pick one up for yourself. Now let's get into my final thoughts. So as far as dropper length, this 90mm in a 27.2 was very attractive to me. There's only a handful of dropper seat posts on the market that are in that size of seat posts that really works for a lot of gravel bikes and XC mountain bikes, as well as even hybrids or commuters, because some people just want to have that seat post low down so when they come to a light, they can put both feet on the ground comfortably. So I think offering this seat post in that 90mm is great. There are a lot of companies who have really short travel, like 35 or 50mm travel of droppers. I think most people would want a little bit more than that. So if you are having a little bit more of a desire for a little bit more drop than those on the market, this is, I think, is a great option. The action and fluidity of this dropper seemed to work well. I never had it sag on me or the cable stretch in the miles that I had it on the bike. I do see the attraction for this for a gravel bike to make your bike more capable. And again, having that shorter dropper post allowed it to fit on my Pateron Redwood, which honestly is hard to work with any of my frames because I do have pretty short legs for my height. So I think that if you're interested in trying this out, this is a really great system to try. And if you're worried about cabling this and maybe wanting to run a rigid seat post, especially on your commuter or gravel bike, or maybe a pseudo suspension seat post with this, I have a video of how I actually hacked this to easily remove the dropper when you don't want it and put it back on all in about 5 minutes, give or take, each individual time without having to cut a shift cable. So make sure to check that video in the description below. So who do I think this is perfect for? I think for your gravel rider who wants a little bit more travel or looking to get a little bit more rad depending on the single track or area they're riding in, I think this is a great option at a very affordable price. Now, obviously you need to double check and triple check on their website to make sure there's enough distance between the bottom of the dropper collar to your saddle rails. That's really going to basically determine on how much drop your frame can handle. So make sure your seat post is at its appropriate length for your legs, then measure that distance and see if the 90mm is good enough for you. Or if you can clear a longer one, they do again have that 110mm travel as well. And then onto your mountain bikers who maybe want a shorter travel dropper because they are a shorter legged rider like myself, and maybe your standard 120 or above millimeter drop is too much and they aren't able to fit that with the desired amount of seat posts they need to show. I think this is a great affordable option for them as well. There are a lot of other droppers on the market and it is a definitely crowded space, but again, having these two length options in the 27.2 at this price point, I think is a great deal, and I've had no issues with mine so far. So I hope you like that. Please make sure to comment below if you have any questions. I check my comments every single day. If If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do, and turn notifications on so you can see all the cycling content I put out on this channel, as well as you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and you can help support Locked In via my Spreadshirt Store, where I have cool merch, as well as on my Pateron, where I do offer one-on-one Zoom cycling consultations every single month for my top 2 tier levels. And lastly, thanks for watching this episode of Locked In.